Sheriff Gary Schuette and Undersheriff Chris Simpson. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Last year, the big news for the Sheriff's Department, the operations millage did not pass, and according to information your office has put out, it's going to impact the community. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
I think, was there some confusion as to what the millage was all about? And I think we had more than one last year too, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I believe there was some confusion there, especially, running the millages back to back like that. People thought that they were the same millage, and they weren't. So the first millage had to do with a jail itself and purchasing the equipment, purchasing the layout and the design, and actually building a new jail. The second one had to do with replacing the operation costs that were built into the millage from the 2002 millage that had expired in 2022. And those operations costs were combined into that millage to actually build a new jail. But when that failed, the county commission elected not to seek the building of a new jail and just to continue on the operations costs for Channer Road. And I think that message was lost. We had a very short window in order to let everyone know what that new millage was all about. And I'll tell you what got me. The day of the election, I happened to be at a polling place, and a gentleman who had actually listened to the second speech that I gave, specifically on this is operations costs, this is deputy jobs.
Right.
He listened to that and actually spoke with me about it. He came out of the polling place, saw me, and said, "Sheriff, I just voted, you're getting your new jail." So it was lost on him. And I thought,
isn't it? Yeah, it's,
I thought
it's
then we
amazing.
didn't make
And
it.
Also, it was a packed ballot as well, so
It
I
was.
think it was confusing. And a lot of people did vote, though, so that that was a good sign. So
Right.
let's talk about let's dispel some of these rumors that big reduction in service. We're not going to have any response time. That's not true whatsoever, Chris.
Well, as far as reduction of time of the police responding,
Sure.
obviously it does affect our operations. So let's not make any mistake about that, because it actually does. We're trying to do what we are designed to do, and we are the police. Our job, in
Right.
short, is to catch the bad guy.
Yeah.
Catch the criminals in Jackson County for crimes they commit against persons of our citizenry. But with a reduction of personnel, that does affect our operations. We no longer can have the certain things we had prior to this operations budget or millage failing. So it affects our corrections with 2 FTEs not there. It affects our patrol with 4 FTEs that would not be there.
What's an FTE?
A person.
full-time employee.
Full-time.
Full-time
Thank you,
employee.
Gary. Or deputy.
Sure.
Let's
sure.
make it simple.
Sure. Yeah.
With 6 deputies missing,
Okay.
that will affect operations.
One of the things in your press release, you talked about a possible reduction in new uniforms and some training. And I wanted to ask you about
Sure.
training because, as a veteran, I know training is everything, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
So talk to me about how you guys are going to work around some of those shortcomings.
For my desk, and the sheriffs as well, being a veteran, working in police for 30-something odd years, training is paramount because we have to keep up with the times.
Right.
And our jobs is to see around the corner of what's coming to put the training pieces in place to give to our deputies. Yes, we did have to reduce some of the training, and that's from our own budget here in Jackson County. However, we do have other training monies that come into our organization from the police side, from the state, as well as to our correction side from the state. So we're not abandoning training by any stretch of the imagination. I just have to be more calculated on who goes to what training, what is the most important training for us to fulfill our mission.
Right. And some of these trainings, you guys follow the same training as folks around the entire country.
Sure.
Because if you have to respond to a mass event or someone has to come here, everyone follows the same training,
Absolutely.
correct?
There certainly is some mandated training in the state of Michigan that we certainly will meet the mandates. When it comes to, I'm speaking more of specialized training.
Sure.
A specialized training for a detective, specialized training for a supervisor.
Sure.
Those are the trainings that will be specific in what we will and what we will not do with the blessing of the sheriff.
What about calls? Are there going to be certain calls that you just are not going to be responding to?
Yes, in short, the reduction in our staffing is not going to allow us to handle all the calls that we used to handle. So there's several townships that have their own police department, and those police departments in many cases aren't 24 hours. So we were the ones who always handled the stuff when they went home. Now, when it comes to non-emergency situations, we're not going to be able to handle those complaints and do the follow-up that's necessary to make sure that everything is done appropriately.
Because your FTEs are going to be responding to what's currently happening
Exactly.
right now, correct?
It's an emergency right now.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly right. So we have to prioritize that. So what we will do in these cases, so let me give you an example, an embezzlement, right? So that's not something that's occurring right now. Well, it might be, but the reality of it is oftentimes we just discover something that has been taken or whatever the case may be, and we call the police and have them investigate it. Those are things that we're not going to be able to do anymore in areas that have their own police departments. So if there's an emergency, we'll go and hold it down and do whatever is appropriate. But in those types of cases, we simply won't be able to handle that report and conduct a follow-up and submit it for prosecution. So they will be held on to. So that's something that's going to, potentially be an entire new day before somebody actually gets a patrol response. There's certain other calls that we won't be able to handle as well. For instance, like a retail fraud that might come in when another department's tied up on a situation, and we would typically go in and handle those kinds of cases. They're going to have to wait because we're going to have to be there in the event that we have a serious auto accident or a domestic or something like that occurs. So we won't be able to handle those things, and that's something that's certainly going to be felt by the community. Because we do a lot of that. Approximately 25% of all of our calls for service have been just that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's significant.
You guys are introducing a online reporting system that will help the community. Talk a little bit about that.
So we're still in the infant stages of looking into that. There's been a couple of things that we started to kind of go down that path and then realized that it was going to be detrimental to the budget just because of the fact that the cost in it in and of itself was going to be prohibitive.
Okay.
So what we're looking at now is trying to design with our IT department, the county, our own system so that we can put it together and then have people come in. Now we have to also consider on how we're going to man that and what we're going to do in terms of answering those calls. So we've got a plan in place for that. And I suspect that that will be something that we'll be introducing here within the next 60 to 90 days.
So you asked the county for the $615,000, and they said no, right?
Essentially, yes.
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 So is there like a plan B other than the cuts?
Will it be like this is going to be cut for a year and then we revisit? Yeah.
Not at this time.
Okay.
No. So this is the new reality.
Okay.
That moving forward. In the event that we're able to uncover some additional monies through maybe some grant opportunities or things of that nature, those are unforeseen. But as far as coming out of the county's general fund, no.
Well, I know that you both are open to hearing from citizens with comments, questions, suggestions.
Sure.
And if you'd like, you can contact the sheriff through his social media or his website. Good to see you both. Thanks for coming
Absolutely.
in.
Thanks for
Thank
all
you
you
so
guys
much.
do.
Appreciate it.
Undersheriff Chris Simpson and Sheriff Gary Schuette on The Morning Show, which continues after this.